Celtic are back on European duty, and the focus shifts to Italy, where the Hoops are preparing to take on Bologna as the Europa League campaign gets back underway. There is a real sense of anticipation around this one, not just because of the opponent or the venue, but because of everything that is swirling around the club right now. Big decisions, important games, and a squad that feels like it is right on the edge of something significant as the season enters a defining stretch. The team have arrived in Italy knowing that European nights away from home always bring their own challenges, especially against opposition that are well-organized and comfortable in possession. Bologna are not a glamorous name for some supporters, but they are a serious side, particularly in this competition. And Celtic will need to be fully locked in from the first whistle. There is plenty to analyze about the match itself, but inevitably a lot of the conversation in the build-up has centered on what is happening off the pitch and the movement within the squad. One situation that continues to gather attention is the expected arrival of Thomas Chavanchara. There has been no official announcement at the time of speaking, but all indications are that the deal is effectively done and that the player is on his way to Glasgow. It has been one of those transfers where the noise has steadily grown over several days, with bits of information dropping in and shaping the picture of what Celtic are getting and what the structure of the deal looks like. From what is understood, Celtic are covering the player's full remaining salary until the end of the season, a figure that sits around €1 million gross. At his parent club, his wages can rise to roughly €2 million gross per year, so this is not a small commitment, but it is one that seems carefully calculated. Crucially, the agreement includes an option to buy in the summer for around €8 million, which works out at just under £7 million. That detail feels important because it shows intent beyond a short-term fix. This is not just a straight loan designed to plug a gap and then quietly disappear at the end of the season. The option to buy gives Celtic control. If the move works, the club are in a strong position to secure a player they believe can contribute for years to come. If it does not work, there is an exit without being tied down long-term. In the current landscape, that balance feels sensible and frankly refreshing. There is also encouragement in hearing that Chavanchara is highly motivated and in good physical condition. Of course, those phrases are often used when a transfer is being framed positively, but context matters here. He is a player who has had a difficult period, both professionally and personally, and this move represents a chance to reset. That hunger to prove himself could be a powerful thing if channeled in the right way. At 25 years old, he is still relatively young in football terms. There is time for him to turn things around, rediscover consistency, and become a key figure again. Celtic Park can be an unforgiving place at times, but it can also be the perfect environment for a player who feels he has something to give and something to prove. The pressure will be there, no question, particularly for a striker expected to score important goals, but the structure of the deal means that pressure is shared rather than absolute. The best case scenario is obvious. He comes in, settles quickly, scores goals, contributes to a title push, and earns a permanent move in the summer. Celtic then move forward with a striker who is entering his prime years and has already adapted to the demands of Scottish football. The worst-case scenario is far less damaging than it could have been. If it does not click, the club reassess in the summer and move on without being burdened. There has also been some clarity provided from within the club regarding expectations. The manager has been keen to manage the narrative around the signing, making it clear that Chavanchara should not be viewed as a miracle solution to every problem. He has been described not just as a physical presence, but as someone with mobility and sharpness, capable of more than simply occupying defenders. At the same time, there has been an effort to remove the idea that he alone carries responsibility for turning results around. That approach feels deliberate. Bringing a player into a pressured environment and immediately framing him as the answer to everything rarely ends well. Instead, there is an emphasis on integration, on building him into the system and allowing performances to grow naturally. Whether he starts immediately or is eased in remains to be seen, especially given his lack of recent match sharpness. But the need in the squad is clear, and opportunities will come quickly. Beyond this deal, it has been made clear that further arrivals before the weekend are unlikely. The message from the club is that any additional signings must represent genuine upgrades. There is no appetite for filling numbers or bringing in players who will not realistically feature. That stance might frustrate some supporters who want immediate activity, but it also signals a desire for quality over quantity. There have, however, been a few names linked. An approach has reportedly been made for a winger currently at Crystal Palace, a player Celtic have admired before, and there has also been speculation around a midfielder based in Germany. At this stage, though, nothing appears close. The expectation is that the final week of the window will be decisive, with at least 3 additions still needed to properly strengthen the squad for the challenges ahead. On the outgoing side, there has been some movement as well. A young Celtic B player has secured a permanent move elsewhere following a loan spell and will continue his development away from the club. These are the kinds of decisions that often go under the radar but are important for players carving out careers and for a club managing pathways and opportunities. There has also been a small reshuffle behind the scenes, with an experienced former goalkeeper joining the coaching setup. His role is expected to span both the first team and the development side, adding knowledge and depth to the staff. Importantly, this is an addition rather than a replacement, with the existing goalkeeping structure remaining in place. All of this forms the backdrop as Celtic prepare for another European night. The squad arrives in Italy carrying the weight of recent domestic demands, but also the belief that under the current manager, there is a growing solidity about the team, and European results have been mixed, but there have been flashes of resilience and organization that suggest progress. The timing of this match feels significant. It comes after a long gap in European action, making it feel almost like a fresh chapter rather than a continuation. The memories of the last outing linger, but so does the sense that this team is evolving. Bologna present a tough test, particularly on their own ground, but Celtic have shown before that they can rise to occasions like this when the pressure is on. There is still so much to unpack around the match itself, the opposition, the likely shape of the team, and what this game could mean in the context of the group. For now, the mood is one of cautious optimism mixed with realism. Celtic are not going into this as favourites, but they are not going in simply to make up the numbers either. The feeling is that with the right application and mindset, there is something to be taken from the night. As attention turns fully to the match itself, the setting could hardly be more traditional. Celtic will walk out at the Stadio Renato Dall'Ara, a ground steeped in history and character, one of those old European stadiums that instantly reminds you what continental football is all about. Opened back in 1927 and renovated more recently, it carries that unmistakable Italian atmosphere, with the stands sitting back slightly from the pitch, but still capable of generating real noise and intensity. With a strong travelling support expected, there will be no shortage of colour or emotion inside the stadium as kickoff approaches. Bologna come into this game with a slightly unusual mix of form. Domestically, results have not been flowing freely of late, and confidence among their supporters has been tested, particularly by recent home performances. They have dropped points regularly in front of their own fans, and that creates an interesting dynamic. Home advantage can quickly turn into pressure if things do not go their way early on, and that is something Celtic will be well aware of as the game unfolds. In Europe, however, Bologna have looked far more assured. Since losing their opening match of the campaign, they have put together a solid run of results, picking up points consistently and placing themselves firmly in contention for a top 8 finish in the group. They have shown an ability to manage games, stay compact when needed, and punish mistakes at key moments. That consistency is the main reason they sit ahead of Celtic in the table, and why they will view this fixture as an opportunity rather than a threat. That said, there are signs of vulnerability. Even in Europe, some of their stronger performances have come away from home, while matches at the Dallara have not always been convincing. The crowd has grown restless at times, and there is a sense that Bologna are still trying to balance expectation with reality. Celtic, with their experience of hostile environments and high-pressure situations, will believe that if they can stay in the game, frustration could creep in for the hosts. One player in particular will be familiar to Celtic supporters. Bologna's captain is a Scotland international who knows the demands of British football inside out. He sets the tempo in midfield, leads by example, and is central to how Bologna function both in and out of possession. His presence alone adds an extra layer of interest to the contest, and how Celtic deal with him will go a long way towards shaping the flow of the match. From a Celtic perspective, the message from the manager has been reassuring in terms of availability. Those who are eligible are fit and ready, with no major new concerns emerging ahead of the trip. There was some online noise surrounding one defender in particular, but it has been made clear that he is available and part of the plans for this game. The squad may not be at full strength in every area, but there is enough depth to field a competitive and balanced side. Selection, as always, will be a topic of debate. In goal, the choice feels straightforward, with experience likely to be favoured in such an environment. At the back, there may be a decision to make at right back, with two options offering slightly different qualities, while the central defensive partnership has begun to show greater understanding in recent weeks. On the left, the balance between defensive security and attacking support will be crucial against a Bologna side that likes to work the wide areas. In midfield, the captain will anchor things as usual, providing structure and leadership ahead of him. There is a strong case for continuity, particularly given how effective the balance was in a previous European away performance earlier in the campaign. Energy, discipline, and the ability to play through pressure will be essential if Celtic are to avoid being pinned back for long spells. The forward line is perhaps the most intriguing area. With new arrivals not yet fully integrated and some players still building rhythm, the manager faces choices about pace, movement, and pressing. In Europe, Celtic have often looked most dangerous when they have been brave on the counter, using speed and directness to unsettle teams that commit numbers forward. That approach could again be key here. Tactically, this feels like a game where patience will be vital. Bologna will likely look to control possession in spells, probing rather than forcing the issue. Celtic will need to be comfortable without the ball at times, staying compact and organized while being ready to break quickly when opportunities arise. Set pieces could also play an important role, especially in a tight contest where clear chances may be limited. There is also the broader context to consider. This is not just about one night in Italy, it is about momentum, belief, and building a platform for what lies ahead. A positive result here would not only strengthen Celtic's position in the group, but also reinforce the growing sense that the team is moving in the right direction under the current management. Even a hard-fought draw would be valuable both mathematically and psychologically. Of course, European nights have a habit of defying predictions. Form, statistics, and analysis can quickly be thrown aside once the game starts. A moment of quality, a lapse in concentration, or a decision from the officials can swing things dramatically. Celtic have been on both sides of that reality over the years, and the key is how they respond when the unexpected happens. The officiating team for the match brings its own talking points, with a largely Greek crew overseeing proceedings and support from video assistants. While referees should never be the focus, European games often feel different in terms of how physical contact is judged and how quickly cards can appear. Celtic will need to adapt quickly to the tone set early on, avoiding unnecessary bookings while still competing aggressively. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are growing louder in Glasgow as the pressure mounts on Martin O'Neill at Celtic. Sources close to the club suggest that the board has issued an ultimatum to the Northern Irishman. Anything less than victory against Bologna and Utrecht could see his tenure cut brutally short. The corridors of Celtic Park are thick with tension, with staff reportedly speaking in hushed tones about the looming threat hanging over their manager's head. O'Neill once celebrated for his fiery spirit on the touchline and his knack for steering underdog sides to unexpected triumphs, now finds himself in a precarious position. His past glories with Leicester and Aston Villa and the respect he commands from players seem to offer little protection against the cold calculations of the club's hierarchy. Fans are divided. Some remain loyal to the veteran tactician, believing that a few shaky results should not overshadow years of service, while others mutter that fresh ideas are needed if Celtic are to recapture domestic dominance and make an impact in Europe. Insiders hint that the ultimatum is as much a message to the dressing room as it is to the manager. The board is said to be concerned that morale could waver if results don't immediately improve, fearing that a prolonged slump might derail the season entirely. Speculation is rife about potential successors should O'Neill be relieved of his duties, with whispers of high-profile names and homegrown talent alike circulating in pubs and football forums alike. O'Neill himself has remained characteristically stoic in public, offering measured comments about focusing on the next challenge and maintaining professionalism. Yet behind closed doors, sources suggest he is acutely aware that every decision, every formation, and every touchline gesture is under intense scrutiny. With the eyes of fans, pundits, and the board fixed firmly on him, the coming matches could define not only the trajectory of Celtic's season, but the very future of one of the most respected managers in British football. Whether O'Neill can defy the pressure and silence the growing chorus of speculation remains to be seen. For now, the Scottish football world watches, rumour and tension entwined, as Celtic's fate and O'Neill's career at Parkhead hangs in the balance. Hello fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.